All right, so here we are, ready to roll.
Was that the intro again?
That was the intro. We just got to start. I gotta get my screen time, baby.
Motherfucker stole my intro again. And we almost knocked some shit over. Wow. This is amazing. This is what happens when you drink before a podcast. Welcome to the Happiness Podcast Project. I am Grover Reese of Guerrilla Combatives.
And I am Scotty of Orc Unity.
And we have a special guest in the house today, Aaron Molinsky of Spartacore. Is it a training center or a athletic center or a support center?
Performance center.
A Spartacore Performance Center. So I'm going to let Aaron introduce himself, mostly because I've done zero pre-production. I have no idea who this motherfucker is sitting by me. Good job, just buddy. Go on and do your thing, man.
I own a gym in the Bay Area, and I provide a space for people to try to better themselves in whatever type of physical activities they pursue.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay, so that's it?
That's about it.
All right, thank you for watching the Happiness
See you later.
Podcast. It's a wrap. Shit, this is the easiest podcast we've ever done in the history of podcasts. I'd like to thank Aaron Molinsky for dropping those words of wisdom, because he will just give you a place to make yourself better at the shit that you do. I'm sure it's more complicated than that.
Where is it located at?
Yeah, where you at there?
We're in Redwood City.
Redwood City in California?
Yep.
And where are we at right now, Scotty?
We are at Nueve Bar and Grill off of Cherry Avenue. Wait, what's the street name?
Yeah. Those are the employees at Nueve saying,
we're right next to YouTube, by the way. We love YouTube.
We love you, YouTube. Do not deplatformize us. We hate Alex Jones. Anyway, I am very happy to be here. It's owned by a great friend of mine. Nueve is a great place to eat. The best mole ever. And so come on down and ask for the Frankie Special.
Yeah, what was that? Is that what we just
We had the Frankie Special today. Ask for the Frankie Special. And the reason why I like the Frankie Special, I'm going to talk a little about this, is because it actually fits into any diet that you're looking to have. If you're looking to have a keto diet, Frankie Special is 100% on. If you're looking for a low-carb diet, which is keto, 100% on. If you're looking for just a balanced diet, it's 100% on, because you have fruits, you have vegetables on it, and you have protein. So it's pretty darn awesome. So anyway,
and it's delicious.
Aaron, can you give us a little about your background, like where you came from, what you do, and how the hell did you start training people?
Yeah, how far back do you want to start?
Let's start when you were an embryo and go from there.
Oh wow. Okay, how about we start back when I was trying to figure out what I want to do. Wow, that's loud.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to our engineer, our sound man, our video editor.
You can tell who screwed up because my eyes went really squinty.
But hopefully you'll be able to hear Aaron from now on.
I can hear myself, so.
That motherfucker's in my ear deep now. Go on, Aaron. Tell us about where you come from.
All right. So I guess we start with when I was growing up, I had two older brothers.
Hold on. Where were you growing up at?
Oregon. Outside of Portland, Oregon.
Outside of Portland?
In a suburb.
I have a very serious question to ask you right off the bat.
Yes, do it.
Did you grow up with any black people?
There was one in the high school.
One black person in high school. And you teased the shit out of him, didn't you? Just tell the truth.
I was scared of Tony because he knew Taekwondo.
Okay, continue.
He must have had long legs.
He did.
Tony was 6'8". Anyway,
so I had two older brothers, and my oldest brother, who was 5 years older than me, was big as shit, and everybody knew him as the big guy, and I was fucking tiny, and he always kicked my ass. And so as soon as I could, I got to a weight room so that I could try to get bigger so that I could not get my ass kicked.
That's motivation.
Yeah.
Right?
That's motivation. Hey, Scott, it sounds like me and your relationship. I was big as shit. I beat your ass when you was young.
I had to survive the streets.
So go on, man.
So I started playing around in weight rooms, and before I knew it, I just that's where I lived, basically. And I knew I wanted to do something that had to do with the human body because I was really interested in just understanding how it all works.
So,
And at,
I'm sorry, that's interesting. So you wanted to do something with the human body, but were you interested in anatomy? Were you interested in the muscle structure of it? Were you interested in like why people do the things they do, like behaviors?
I just wanted to know how it all worked. Like, how do you as a human move through space? And how do I optimize myself to get bigger or faster or whatever it is I want to do?
That's pretty interesting. So me, as a human being, this is how I operate. I drink bourbon, and I make really great decisions when I'm drunk, and I live with them the next day.
As we all do.
All right, there we go. So basically, you wanted to be more, just understand more of how you can do things and how you can achieve your goals through physicality.
Right. As I got further into it, at first I just wanted to not get my ass kicked. After that, I kind of wanted to dig in deeper and understand how it was all working, so that I could be better at getting bigger and not getting my ass kicked more.
Interesting.
And at the time, I wasn't really sure which direction I wanted to go. And like a personal trainer kind of seemed cliche.
Right.
So I didn't really want to go that route and be like the Jane Fonda type, jump around and yell at people to try to get them to work out. So eventually that led me into firefighting and paramedic work.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I went to school for that, which was awesome. I loved that.
Did you find that was fulfilling of what you wanted to do, or was it just like a stop point?
Definitely. That got me actually more fascinated with how everything works, because you're really getting down to the nuts and bolts of the human body. You basically look at it as a pump system and a movement system and a system that's bringing in air. And that's how you think of the human body in terms of knowing what to do when somebody has something wrong with them. That's what you go back to, is the very basic systems and which one has something wrong with it and how do I fix it so this person doesn't die, so I can get them to the hospital without them dying.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, besides the fact that I've actually gained some great, advances from just your knowledge and, you helping me out and letting me know, a couple of things with nutrition, a couple of things with, my workouts, was that one of my original workout partners is Thirst Trap Scotty over here.
Super Thirst Trap.
Thirst Trap Twins.
Yeah, it should be Thursday. It could be Thirst Trap Thursdays. But, I thought it would be hashtag Thirst Trap Thursdays. But I thought that Scott would be, really interested because Auric Unity is also about body perfection. And
It's about the holistic development, and the physicality of the holistic development is integrated into that system. Yeah.
What is it? What was that again? What was the word?
Auric Unity.
Auric.
Unity.
Unity.
Yeah. And so that's...
Explain that.
So, so the thing about Auric Unity is about holistic development. So holistic development has the mental, the emotional, physical, social, and spiritual spheres working together as one. So it takes a lot of the principles from Native American religions and things like that, but it's also being used in psychology today. So without me getting to my little egg-headed self, that's the gist of it. So like you're talking about systems, right? You're talking about the how body is a biomechanical system that you can alter and manipulate in such ways that you can heal it or you can grow it or whatever like that. The same thing with holistic development. So if you're right in mind, you're right emotions, you have a right social sphere of influence, you tend to succeed in life. And especially you add that onto the physicality of things, and and being spiritual, believing in some kind of higher power, doing something of a higher purpose other than for your egoic self. Life just happens to become smooth. So, oops.
Yeah. That shit wasn't smooth right there. That shit
That
was
was not
the
smooth.
opposite of smooth. But that's one of the reasons, because like in a way, that's what you would tell me. Like a lot of times I'd be like, well, fuck, dude. like, oh, God, it's impossible for me to eat right for a month straight. But I don't beat myself up when I have a cheat day and I eat crazy. You know, I just have to realize that I ate crazy. There's going to be, if I ate a bunch of sugar, I'm going to want some sugar the next day, so I know that there's a sugar addiction problem there that I have to deal with. But it was more of a mental aspect with you and having my emotions in check. When I talked with Aaron, and you know, his approach to nutrition was, I think, on that same level. I mean, I always tease Scott whenever Scott says something metaphysical. I'm like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, right when we go spiritual.
Spiritual, metaphysical. Scott's like, and then after we all sit around,
Kumbaya.
and we sing Kumbaya and shove a globe in our asses, and you know, it really works. No, I just made that shit up. But I think it's kind of the same thing you do, where like if you have to have the right mind state to be successful. You know, if you don't, and this is something with anything that I believe, if you don't have the right mind state, you lost already. Mm-hmm. If I come out and I said, hey man, I'm just not going to be able to do this, you're not going to be able to do it. You know, so like I know I never thought I could do certain things in martial arts, and then when I started doing it, I started believing in myself more and more and more. Now nobody can tell me I can't do anything. Like literally anything, I'm like down to try. Almost broke my leg the other day, but you know, I was like, hey, I gave it a shot.
It's like how we were talking in the gym back in Spartacore when you were talking about Grover's he said a comment where he was saying how an individual was already having a self-defeating talk, and then you jumped in right away and said, no, it's all in the mind. If you already have a defeated mindset, you already lost the battle. You already lost the war.
Right.
And don't you? Does Spartacore have that kind of embodied belief of how self-empowerment, that self-affirmation that you are stronger and to get yourself through the workout?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of attract that crowd that aligns with that, where you kind of have to be mentally fit as well as physically fit, and in most cases you have to get mentally fit before you can be physically fit. Otherwise, you know, you're going to defeat yourself along the way. As if you identify yourself as a fat slob, and that's everything you are, how likely do you think you are going to be in succeeding in becoming fit, whatever that is to you? Probably not very likely, because now you're killing your identity.
And this is amazing, because this is what.
That's
go.
No. He just hit me hard when he said identity there, right there. That's like pure psychological concepts. Yeah, I love that.
Well, I mean, one of the things, like when you do any combative sports at all, you know, I've had a lot of kickboxing matches. I had some underground boxing matches, and one of the things is I always believed I was going to fuck the person up, 100%. And when I say fuck the person up, I know it sounds weird. I believe that I was superior, I was trained, and I was ready to do what I had to do, that I had the right game plan. There was no doubt in my mind when I went into anything that I was right, whether it was, you know, judo competitions, just grappling. I always believed that I have a chance. And not only do I have a chance, I have an absolute great chance if I do what I need to do. My boxing coach, Patrick Reagan at Westside Boxing Club and Westside Fitness, he told me, you know, you're not even allowed to talk down to yourself once you enter the gym. A lot of times people do, get your big ass moving or something like that. No. Anything that's negative, you're not allowed to do. Or he won't train you. You have to understand that when you have that in your mind, and I tell my students this all the time, that's a little piece of shit in your mind, and I stole this straight from Patrick, that's going to just grow and grow and grow and grow till your whole mind is shit and corrupted. And that's the best way I can say it. I can't say it like as eloquently as you guys say it, but if you let that little piece of shit in there, it's going to grow, because shit attracts shit. Mm-hmm. You know, and the only thing that goes to shit is flies and, you know, bad things. It's not like, nothing positive is came from a piece of shit that's just sitting in the middle of the floor. You haven't even processed it and made it into manure. And made it into manure so you can, you know, have fertilizer. Because shit is manure. Hey, shut the fuck up. Yeah. This is what happens when you start a podcast after drinking half the day. But I think that mind state is the most important thing, and I think that's why I wanted you on, because I think we all believe in that. Like, it took me a while, but then I came to you and said, hey, yeah, we're going to change things up, and I'm going to work really hard. I can do this for this many days, and you know, I actually think I'm gonna work out all except 5 days until the rest of the year. That's what I want to do. That's my goal. And I started in June. You know, I didn't tell anybody I started in June. I think Aaron figured it out because he's
Yeah.
seen me there a lot.
Yeah.
You know, not because I want to be anything great, but because mentally I'm ready to do it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So is that what you're talking about?
I mean, yeah. So if I get a client, I can tell immediately if somebody's going to succeed or they're going to fail, and either they're going to fire themselves or I'm going to have to fire them, is all based on their self-talk. So I've had people that come in and they go, "Oh fuck, I'm weaker than I was last time, aren't I? Oh man, I'm so much more tired than I was last time." And they beat the shit out of themselves. And number one, I don't have time for that. I don't want to sit around and hang out with people that want to have a pity party all day. But I can't get you anywhere.
Right.
You already destroyed everything I could have done for you
Just with one phrase.
with your attitude. Yeah, of course you're weaker. You're not going to be strong if you're like, "Oh fuck, I'm weak.
So
Poor me."
So is that what you were talking about with self-identity, Scott?
Yeah, especially. I mean, it's self-identity becomes self-belief, and if it's sustained, persistent belief, it becomes your reality. I mean, that's the whole concept of a self-concept to begin with.
Damn, I can't even talk down on the metaphysical stuff because I believe
That's
in that shit.
Oh,
too.
that's
no, you
psychology.
bought him
It's
in.
a textbook.
Oh, shit.
This is where he
Oh,
attacks me.
This
and
is
I
the
bring up some
turning
real
point.
psychological stuff, and he's like, "No, it's metaphysics."
Grover can't talk shit anymore.
Can't talk shit. No, but here's one thing I know, and this is why I wanted to do this podcast. I have never experienced Scott tell himself he couldn't do something. And if he did it around me, I would talk shit. I would talk shit to him to his face because everybody knows me. I talk shit directly to your face. There is no hiding with me talking shit to you. It's like, nah, if you're doing that. I've never heard you say you couldn't do something. Matter of fact, I think I watched Spartacore become a reality. Like, you know, the training center. I think this is amazing, and I really want you to tell a story. But before you tell a story, I want you to tell people where the fuck Spartacore is.
Spartacore. We are located at 2766 Bay Road, Unit D in Redwood City. And we're basically 4 blocks off of Woodside Road, which would be the major road that everybody would know in that area.
Yeah,
Right
one
across
more time.
from Stanford Medical Center.
And
One more time.
One more time.
You want
The
one more
address.
time?
I
Okay,
need
fine.
it one more time. I gotta hear it.
2766 Bay Road, Unit D in Redwood City, California.
Perfect.
Unit D.
Unit D, the D.
And what's in Unit A?
Nothing.
That's some inside joke.
Are you sure nothing's in Unit A?
Nope.
How about Unit B?
Stop.
Unit C?
There's no Unit C. Only the D.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
Oh yeah, your origin story.
Origin story.
Origin story of
Origin
Spartacore.
story of Spartacore.
Like, where were you? What
Wow.
happened?
Okay. So my wife took a job in California. We were living in Oregon at the time. And I was a personal trainer there. That was also around the time I was trying to get hired on with the fire department. But that was in 2008. And everything crashed. And anything that was government funded now took a shit. And they weren't funding anything. So I went to test after test after test to try to get hired on with fire departments. I came here to the Bay, San Francisco, or San Diego, all up and down the West Coast because I wanted to stay on the West Coast, and nothing was really happening. So that's when I kind of decided to dive into fitness because that was still aligned with what I was interested in, which was the human body. How does it work? How do you make it perform? How do you fix it? So she takes a job at a college here, which we won't mention because they're evil. And I say, okay, let's move. And at the time, I was making money as a heavy machinery mechanic. And I was just kind of dabbling as a trainer, and I was trying to get hired by the fire department. So
Okay.
we move here, and I stick with the heavy machinery mechanic job because that's what was paying the bills, and that's what I had health care through. So I get here, and I quickly realized that being a heavy machinery mechanic here is even shittier than being a heavy machinery mechanic in Oregon.
Yeah.
So I decided to start a mobile personal training business.
And what was that called?
That was called Spartacore Personal Training.
Excellent.
And I started that in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew nobody, had no clients, had no resources of any kind.
That shit sounded hella lucrative.
Right. And so, I figured, okay, I need to go and find who's buying training equipment and connect with the person who's selling them that training equipment, because that's who's going to get me connected with the people that want to be trained in their house, because that's who I was going after at the time.
So hold on one second. So this is what we talk about when I say, no matter what, it's not easy, but you got to work really hard, because what you did was you said, I want to do this, and I'm going to find a way to get connected to people and build my network, and not just sit here and say, well, I have a business. Why aren't people coming to me? Just because you're doing what you want to do doesn't mean that it's not hard ass work, right?
Right.
Yeah. Continue, please.
So I get linked up with a couple of stores that are selling personal training equipment, treadmills and weights and all that stuff. And I get them to start referring people to me. And so I start training a couple people in home. But it's nothing huge. It's like after and before work. So I'm working like 16 hours a day to do both jobs.
Wow.
And I was even training other mechanics like during lunch breaks, because that's just what I wanted to do. So I'd be like, okay, let's go out back and flip tires and use sledgehammers and do stupid shit on our lunch breaks that we're already doing. We're just not being paid for it now. And eventually I knew that I had to get away from the mechanic work, because it was just kind of soul-crushing, horrible stuff that nobody wants to do.
So tell me about the risk of leaving the mechanic work. So you had health insurance.
Health insurance.
And you had a kid.
Had a kid, wife to support. With that job, with that company, you're guaranteed 2 to 3 million when you retire, if you stick with them, which isn't huge here in the Bay, but it kind of is in Oregon.
Yeah, if you move to Oregon, you're
Yeah, right. That'll
balling.
almost buy you a house here.
Yeah.
So I left all that and started working at a commercial gym, because I knew that me on my own at that point with the resources I had wasn't enough. I couldn't grow it the way I wanted to.
Right.
But when you go into a commercial gym setting, you essentially, as a personal trainer, unless you're actually training somebody, you're making minimum wage. And they will only allow you to work for a couple hours a day, literally a couple hours a day, to what they call prospect for clients. So you're making like $30 a day.
Ooh.
Unless
Yeah.
you're training.
Yeah.
But you're not training when you first start.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what I had to decide. Okay, I'm making good money. I've got retirement. I've got health care. I've got all this stuff. Or I can go and attempt to do that. And finally, I couldn't take doing something that I didn't love anymore, and I had to do it and take the risk. So I go to a commercial gym and basically work for free for a month to build my client base. And I was full within a month, because I had to be. Because I had people to feed and
Right.
I had to pay bills.
So and this is one of the reasons why, full disclosure, of course, me and Aaron, we know each other. I go to his gym.
We do?
Yeah.
I just met you
Just
today,
met
man.
Just met him today.
Over drinks.
Yeah. We met today over drinks at Nueve.
At-
Nueve is the most fascinating place in the world because Nueve here in San Bruno at Bay Hill Shopping Center.
What's the
people
address
come-
again?
I have no idea.
It's Cherry Avenue. I know that
Cherry
for sure.
Avenue,
Right next
but-
to YouTube.
Yeah, it's next to YouTube. It's Nueve. It's the only Nueve in Bay Hill. Get your life together. But I mean, here at Nueve, we meet interesting people: firemen, artists, musicians, filmmakers, gym owners. But no, in reality, I actually knew. I had met Aaron. You know, he is also a jiu-jitsu blue belt. Working towards purple belt aggressively.
Aggressively.
He's also a combat submission wrestler. I think Aaron's level 3 or level 4.
Who knows at
Yeah.
this point?
I'm level 5. Just
One up, man. Shit.
just put that shit out there.
Whatever
I'm
Aaron is,
level
I'm
5,
more.
about trying to get my pro coach. Just make sure I'm better than this motherfucker. But Aaron is also a very good kickboxer. You know, STX kickboxer. And so STX is Savant Thai Mix. Aaron's an overall martial artist. But that's one of the mind state, the reason why Aaron's able to be a good martial artist, because he's saying, look, it has to work. It has to work because I have to do it. And so I want you to hold that thought for a second, Aaron.
Yep.
We're going to take our first intermission.
Let's do it.
It's going to be about maybe 3 minutes, but to the people in the world and the ether, they're not going to even know.
Yeah.
Because
Sounds
Scott
good to
is
me.
so good at editing, he's going to edit that
Like a
shit
magician.
the fuck out. So we're going to take a break. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, to you in the world, you're going to think that there was absolutely zero pause because through the magic of editing, you will not know that we took a 3 to 5 minute break. But we're back with Aaron. We were talking about the time that he went to a commercial gym, which means that the motherfucker signed a non-disclosure.
I
And
absolutely did.
yeah,
I
so
violated the shit out of it.
excellent. So let's talk about your time at the commercial gym. You were there for a month and you were full with people.
Yeah, so, you know, essentially, like I said, the way they operate is they'll only pay you for a couple hours a day. So I knew I had to eat, and I had a family, so I was in there 13 hours a day, and I was probably getting paid for 12 hours of that a week.
Wow.
But that's what I had to do to get my schedule full. And it was kind of interesting because everybody always wanted to know what was the magic thing I did to get full so fast. And every time I told somebody, they're like, "Oh, that's really awesome. That's neat." And nobody else would ever do it. But then they would complain that they didn't have any clients. So
So what was his technique?
I just went up to everybody I could find in the gym and asked them how I could help them. Number one, I would ask them their name, and I would actually remember it.
That's
It kind of
powerful, yeah,
goes
that's-
that goes far with people if you actually remember their name.
So you asked how to help them, and you remember their name. Like very simple
Yeah.
concepts. Very simple. Wow. Okay.
Marketing and customer service 101. Remember your name and ask how you can add to their life.
Right. Yeah. The first time, you know, normally I wouldn't even get into training or how I could help them. I just would introduce myself, get their name. I'd say, "Okay, cool. I'm new here. I'll see you later." And
Right.
the next time I would see what they were doing, and I would give them a couple pointers. "Hey, I noticed you were doing this. Hey, maybe if you try this, it would help you with what you're doing. Not
Right.
that what you're doing is bad, but here's how you can make it even cooler." And then eventually people would come to me. So,
Excellent.
So in essence, you gave them free advice. You gave them like a free service of your knowledge, and they came to you.
right. It's kind of like that whole, what is the old phrase that people use is like, people don't care how much you know until they know you care.
Wait, say that again.
Yeah.
That's a quote right there.
Yeah.
People don't care how much you know until they know you care.
Right.
I don't know who said it, but somebody said it, and
Yeah,
it wasn't
yeah.
me.
We are straight stealing that shit on the
We
Happiness
are stealing the
Podcast.
shit.
I don't care. He's straight dropping gems right
That's
now.
beautiful.
Like,
And I'm going to say right now, this episode is called People Don't Know People don't care how much you know until they know that you
I
care.
expect to get paid for those royalties.
You ain't getting paid shit.
It's going right to Nueve.
Yeah.
I'm copywriting the shit out of that
Yeah.
before you publish this.
You don't even know where it came from.
That's true.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's really. Here's one thing that I do know about Aaron is that, like, I seen Aaron working out and stuff, and I'd be like, damn, I kind of want some exercises. Like, I had a couple of injuries. I'm like, I need some exercise to work around my injury, and I would come in, hey, dude, how do I do this? Oh yeah, do it like this, and I'd be like, all right, thanks, dude, and I just like shuffle off and go do it. You know, and work on it. But, you know, that I think that's a big part of it is giving. The more you give of people, the more you're going to get back. You know, like you can get paid a certain amount of money an hour, but if you give a half an hour to free to somebody, the chances of them coming to you for a paid service is a lot more than if you just say, well, this is how much it costs and I won't do it at all.
Yeah, I actually have been fired from gyms for giving my clients too much information.
I'm gonna have a meltdown right here. This is
Yeah, so depending on the gym I'm talking about doesn't exist anymore. They imploded as a company, but
Yeah, fuck them. Anyway, come on.
they, you know, their whole idea was if you give somebody too much information, they're not going to need you. And my whole idea was always if your whole worth is based off of knowing a couple of exercises and how to do them, then you suck.
You already
You
lost.
failed. Yeah, you failed.
You already lost.
I wanted them to need me whether they had everything I knew or not. They were there because they wanted to be, not because they had to be.
Right.
Well, in a way, you were also their problem solver too. I mean,
Yeah.
if they had an issue, you could think outside the box, analyze what movements they're doing wrong, how their bodies react in certain exercise, nutrition,
Right.
and spot on fix it.
But I mean, in the end, in reality, my job is to make myself obsolete and make my students or clients or whatever you want to call them be able to do my job. And then if they decide they want to keep training with me because they like it, then great, stick around. But in essence, I'm training them to do what I do so that they don't need me anymore.
I'm going to say 100% for everybody who's a private martial arts student. For me, my job is not to make myself obsolete.
He's a capitalist at heart.
And I am a libertarian, and I want you to need me and desperately need to pay me every week for the rest of your life.
Who's gonna buy his beard products?
Because, listen, to keep this beard luxurious costs a lot of
Grover,
fucking
we
money.
need to come up with a beard line for you.
My,
Beard care.
My uncle Cade Reese actually makes a beard line that I buy some occasionally from him.
Do you?
Yes.
Gotta have him on the
Gonna-
show.
And
it's
so if
gonna
I started
create a
if I
little bit of a
started
rivalry.
if I started a beard line, he'd be like, you know, oh you stole my glory, you bastard. Nah, I'm just playing. But I mean, I actually think that's admirable, and because you put that into people, they're actually like they need you. You know, because I come to you for advice all the time, or I'll literally poke into the gym and be like, what is this motherfucker telling somebody to do? Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that exercise right there. I don't need it. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
why you're looking at me creepy all the time.
Yeah, like I give him my creepy face. Okay, so
Scoots off to the dark corner.
I think that's really interesting because you know one of the things was one day me and Scott went to the gym. Scott's like, let me show you a few movements. This is like I think this is before Barack Obama was president. I think the shit was like 2007, and Scott was like 8 or something. Scott was an embryo, but you know Scott was like one of my workout partners, and he's also a martial artist. He quit though because he's trash.
I'm in hibernation. Long time.
He quit doing martial arts because he's trash. But you know, we had a lot in common. And one of the things, we go to the gym, we go to 24-hour fitness. I never worked for him, so I can say it. And he would just show me a couple of things, and I would take that routine and I would just duplicate it because I ain't paying. You know, I could not afford to pay anybody at that time. I barely was making rent. But I think that, you know, it's funny because at that point, before Scott moved away to L.A., whenever I thought of working out, I would be like, hey, Scott, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about this? And basically because he showed me that he cared. So I think that quote was very impressive. So moving up to your commercial gym experience, how did you come to working for yourself?
So I was just a personal trainer working at this commercial gym.
This is
and-
beautiful.
Wow.
Hold on a second. Nueve is the greatest place on
Yeah.
earth.
851 Cherry Avenue. I found the address. 851 Cherry Avenue.
Those beers just appear out of nowhere when you're
It only
here.
took us like 30 minutes to figure that out. Too.
Yeah. Also because we've been here since 8 drinking. Anyway, go on.
So I was a personal trainer at this gym, and I didn't like the way management was running things, and I heard all of the other trainers around me bitch about the management, but nobody wanted to do anything about it. So I realized the way to fix management was to become management. So I got into managing the personal training staff at this gym. And part of that was I knew that, number one, if I was managing, then I wouldn't have to answer to some jackass telling me what to do, because I was the jackass. And also, they could teach me the business of how to run a fitness center, because they would send me to school and teach me all of the infrastructure of how a gym works. So I went through their training program to be a manager, became a manager, and that kind of just taught me all the ins and outs. And, you know, really the whole goal the entire time was, how do I learn all of this stuff so I can take it and do my own thing?
Interesting. And so fast forward to the trials and tribulations of opening up your own place.
You know, I think the hardest part, and I hear this all the time and it's super cliche, but the hardest part of starting your own thing is deciding to start your own thing, because it's terrifying. You know, you're leaving a sure thing, or what you think is a sure thing, for basically you're on your own. You have to come up with all the answers. There's nobody there to support you. There's no admin. There's no HR. There's no anybody.
Right.
It's all just you. That's the hardest part, the jump off point, where you go, okay, I quit. Now I'm my own boss. That was the most terrifying day of my life.
Wow. So, in essence, of course, when you're doing what you want to do, it's not only not easy, it's scary as hell.
Right.
Because there's no support system except you, and you have to create that infrastructure.
Yep.
Excellent. So what was a pitfall of doing that? What was like one of the things that like you failed drastically at to help people, help the 9.5 people who are going to watch this understand, like, you know, this is.
Honestly, there was no pitfall.
Hold on a second. What are you, the luckiest motherfucker in the world? It was just
There
nothing?
was no pitfall. Everything I thought it was going to be, you know, I was like, holy shit, I'm going to be poor. I'm going to fail. Nobody's going to come to my gym. I'm not going to have any clients anymore. All of that shit that I thought was going to happen did not happen. That was all.
Well, obviously your white privilege helped.
Well,
Baby blue eyes, man. Baby blue eyes.
The thirst trap.
I'm part of the patriarchy, man. Come on.
Okay. So, but honestly, and by the way, before 9,000 people comment and say, you bastard, he didn't have white privilege, he's a hard-working American. I don't believe that. I don't believe that his white privilege helped, okay?
So, I mean, what happened with that? You were scared. You felt like I had safety, security, and all of a sudden you had this big mental paradigm shift that happened in your brain.
Mhm.
When was the exact moment that you finally realized, I can do this on my own?
It was after I said I'm going to do it.
So hold on. You said you was going to do it, and you was full of shit?
Absolutely.
Excellent. I love it. Let's go.
There was a couple days after I said, okay, I'm going to do this, where I was trying to find every way to back out of it. I was like, okay, how do I tell these people that I'm not going to rent the space? How do I just go back to what I knew where I knew I was safe and not have to do this because this is too scary.
1 second. If you would have stayed eating up all my mat space because you were running out of Peninsula Self-Defense,
Right.
I would have been so motherfucking mad at you.
We didn't even cover this shit.
Yeah, so let's rewind. Let's rewind. So let me tell you from my point of view. Aaron was a fellow martial arts student doing CSW with me, and then we combined schools to Peninsula Self-Defense from NorCal JKD, and Aaron came along. He was doing kickboxing with me and everything. I was teaching the kickboxing classes, and then Aaron's like, "I'm gonna open up my own training center here," and I was like, "Word, open up your training center," and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna open up my own training center here," and I was like, "Okay," and then a part of the mat, which I actually envisioned to have a boxing ring,
I remember that too.
became Spartacore Performance Center in the corner, which has nothing to do with me because I don't own the building, I don't own the space. But I was always like, man, if I could talk a little shit and maybe get some funding, we could get a boxing center here and we'll start a program, a youth program or whatever. That'd be
Dropping
free.
some not so subtle hints. Huh?
Yeah, and then and I had to help that motherfucker move his shit in. And so I'm sitting there, but I was so surprised at how many clients he had because I would go there every time I went there to do my privates or to work out or anything. He would be there training people, and I was like, oh, this is obviously the right thing to do, because and people who worked out with him really loved to work out with him. And so he was in Peninsula Self-Defense for how many months?
January through June.
So 6 months he was in Peninsula Self-Defense until he got his own space
Yeah.
and opened a business.
Yeah.
So sometimes what the message is to everybody out there, or to all 9.5 people out there watching, is that
Maybe 8.7.
8.79 people, is that you actually have to believe and do it, and it comes true.
Yeah. And I think a big piece of this that we haven't talked about, though, actually, is the role of mentors.
Go. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Because had it not been for a specific mentor, I would not have taken the step to go into PSD and my little corner that you were pissed off about me taking.
Motherfucker.
And then eventually going into my own space.
So
Spartacore.
talk about the mentor.
So, the mentor, Eric Acha, who runs Peninsula Self-Defense.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one that gave me the opportunity. I came and talked to him when I was finally kind of done with the commercial gym world. And he supported me, gave me a space to work, and made the transition really easy. And, never for a second did he give me any indication that I would fail, which is
excellent,
huge, because
yes,
here you are making this scary ass decision, and you got this guy that's like, yeah, you can do it. That's why wouldn't you do that? That's amazing. Yeah, do it.
yeah.
And the confidence builder that is normally, what do you get from people when you want to do something that's big?
You can't. Negative self.
No,
Yeah,
why would you do that? Come on, man.
Even people you love, people who love you, project their
insecurities and fears
on you, and they tell you you can't do that. They mean I couldn't do that, so of course you can't do it. It's very important to seek out people who tell you what you can do. Now, I will tell someone they can do something, but here are the pitfalls, but you could probably do it, unless you're doing something crazy like, hey, I'm gonna skydive without a parachute, and I'll be like, motherfucker, you cannot do that. That's called suicide. But it's very important to find people who tell you what you can do and support you like that. And so Eric Acha is the same type of mentor for me. We both know him. And I'm like, Eric, I want to teach private lessons out of here. Yeah, fuck, you should get paid for what you know. You're good. Yeah. It's always positive. It's always welcoming. Hey, Eric, I want to shoot a podcast. Our last podcast was shot at Peninsula Self-Defense upstairs. And this was literally, and I want to give a shout out to Eric Acha, who's going to be on a podcast with his beautiful wife. And we're going to talk about just how a family goes into working a business, because I think that's the best family-run business I've ever seen. You know,
Definitely.
And Eric Acha said, I said, Eric, I need to shoot the podcast during the day, and he said, yeah, my place is your place. You got a key. I was like,
that, yeah.
I was like, what? And so I want to give a shout out to Eric, because I know the type of person he is.
Yeah.
And when you have people like that in your life, you should gravitate towards those people because they're not toxic. They tell you what to do. So you're at Peninsula Self-Defense,
Yeah.
taking up my space.
Yeah, and it's funny because I had a conversation with Eric. I saw that the neighbor down the way was not there anymore, and I come to Eric and I go, hey, what's up with that space? Do you know anything about that? And he goes, what? Why do you want that space? And I'm kind of like,
Eric was like, because I need you to get the fuck out of here too.
yeah, get your shit out of my place. Why do you want that space? And I go, yeah, I think I kind of want that space. He goes, okay. He talks to the landlord for me. I'm sure I would not have gotten that space without him.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. He did some greasing of the wheels for sure.
Right.
But really the thing he did besides that was, I said I wanted that space, but I really did not think that I could get that space. I had no idea.
Yeah, you was talking shit.
Yes, I was talking major shit. And I had no idea how that space was going to happen because I did not have the funding for that space. But as soon as I said that, because of the person he is, he just pushed me, and he kept pushing me.
Right.
He just kept nudging me along. And every time I kind of went, I don't know, man.
He said, no, you
wanna-
can do it.
What are you talking about? I'm like, man, I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of feel sick to my stomach about this. He's like, what are you talking about? Just do it. It's okay. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And he kept bumping me. And guess what? It was okay. I found a way. I found the funding.
Right.
I found the people. I found, people came with me. People supported me. Again, this comes back to the hardest step is making the decision. You
Yes.
create all the roadblocks yourself. They're not actually there. And, a kind of a mantra that I've had recently is, whenever I'm faced with a really tough time, I always ask myself, have you ever not been okay?
True.
No. I've always found a way to make it. Are you here today? Yes, I'm here today. Okay. So if you ever faced something that was so bad that you fucked up so hard that now you're at zero, you don't exist, you're on the street, whatever it is, the worst case scenario, has that ever happened? No. You've always found a way. So how is this scenario any different than any of those?
Excellent. So from my take it as self-determination, self-belief, mentors, and someone kicking you in your ass telling you can't do it.
Absolutely.
And everything's going to be okay.
Beautiful.
Just start and do it, and it'll
Yep.
turn out fine.
And this is why I like martial artists. Because Professor Eric Acha, John Jock Machado, BJJ black belt, since he's gone through the fire to be a black belt, I think it took him like 15 years, 12 or 15 years. He's like, no. It could be done because I did this. Sifu Brenda King, brown belt, 60-year-old, competitor, badass with a big-ass afro. Japanese woman with an afro.
One of the baddest people on the planet.
By the
honestly.
way, I don't know why the hell a Japanese woman has an afro, but the hell with it.
Asian afros are a real thing. Trust me on that.
Yeah. Scott's growing an afro next week.
I'm
But,
pretty sure the afro is like Samson. Dude, that is like part of her strength.
Yeah, but like there's a lot of times I was like, Brenda, do you think I could do private lessons? Yeah, you should do private lessons. Brenda, I want to do seminars. Yeah, you should do seminars. And she's just people who tell you what you can do. A lot of times they're not in your family. A lot of times they're not your parents or your teachers at school. A lot of times they're people who just look into your character and spend time and they're like, no, this motherfucker right here could do whatever he wants. And that's great. I mean, I'm lucky. Like a Roger Agbulos, He's like, you know, you're my guru in Northern California, me and another gentleman. And, like, that's pretty important to me because he doesn't have a lot of them. And he puts that on me, and I carry the mantle, you know. So, I mean, I think that's an awesome story. Awesome story. So let's talk about how your business structure. How do you know the business structure to run?
Like, how do I know how to run the inner workings of a gym?
Yeah, how did that? Was that because you learned it from another?
You know,
another place?
I learned it from a bigger business.
Yeah.
Was a lot of it. You know, how do you keep track of the numbers for a month? How do you balance? How do you project? How do you do all of that
Right.
stuff? You know, that came from the commercial gym. But honestly, everything else was trial and error.
Yeah, because I kind of feel like when I go into the gym, there's an entrepreneurial spirit in the gym.
Yeah.
Meaning that there's a lot of people who are like, they're training their people, they're training their folks. They're there at a certain schedule. The gym's big enough, actually. And I like Spartacore because it doesn't have a ton of people. And the gym's big enough so that, like, you can move around. You know, you don't have, like, 45 people leaving weights all over the place. That is some bullshit. Stop it.
And you motherfuckers that are leaving your weights on my floor, you better clean that shit up.
Damn. But like, you know, it's not like that situation where there's like a ton of people there and it's not a big commercial. It's not a commercial gym. It's a place where you go to improve yourself.
Right.
And I would tell this, anybody who's a martial artist, go there and spend some time with some of the trainers there. I see all types of stuff. I see Bavarian bags. I see some like wrestling training that like blew my mind. I was like, wow. Aldoa. Is it called that?
ELDOA.
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 Eldoa, which is like
It's an acronym.
hell on earth.
It is hell on earth.
What's the acronym?
It is a French acronym, so I don't know what the American translation is for it. But essentially, the acronym is about creating space in your joints.
Wow. And so, or as we call tendon stretching.
In martial arts, that's how you were introduced to it. Yeah.
Tendon stretching. Which
It kind of is, because it's actually about, it's all about fascial tissue, which your tendons are a big part of that. They're connective tissue, fascial tissue.
Wow.
So absolutely.
Wow. So all of these things going on there. There's people who come in there, they train their own clients. You know, there's an open gym there where you can go. Like, man, there's been times that I've gone in there like hella ass crack at night, like I can't sleep, and like it's like 3:30 in the morning. I go there and I'll work out for a half an hour. They go home and sleep all day. Like I'll be having like a bad case of insomnia, and you know when you have a bad case of insomnia, just beating yourself up a little, working out. I get hyped up, then I start calming down. And
Because it's 24 hours.
24 hours access.
Key card access.
Key card access, 24 hours. Plug.
You know, it's funny though. You just reminded me of, you know, you talk about the other trainers in there and how special the space is. Actually, probably one of my favorite things about what I do though is actually not training people or running a business. Probably my favorite thing about that space is I get to do what I call jailbreaking trainers. So I take trainers who are working in less than optimal spaces for them,
Right.
which would be like a commercial gym,
Mm-hmm.
because they're getting a very small cut of what the service that's being paid for. They're getting a very small cut of that.
Yeah, they're getting raped.
Absolutely.
Or as I like to call, 1-800-DICK in your booty. That's 1-800-DICK in your booty. All right, go on.
Don't dial it. It's bad.
Too far.
So I get to take those trainers and provide them with a space where they can have their own business without a lot of the risk that I take.
Right.
because I wish somebody had done that for me from the start, is that they said, okay, here's all the equipment you need. Just run your business and give me a small cut of it. Just so that I can keep the equipment running and I can keep things in good repair. But for the most part, it's yours. I'm not your boss. I don't tell you what to do. I don't tell you when to be here. I don't tell you what to charge your clients. I don't tell you what to teach them. You just do what you want to do, and I provide the space.
So basically, what you're doing is that you're empowering other people to be entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
And that's why, and I know this already, and that's why I really needed to have you on a podcast, because I always believe this: entrepreneurship spawns other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So like if somebody sees me and I do my martial arts thing, I have my clients in and out, and they say, wow, if Grover could do it, I'm not super special as a martial artist. I think that I have a deep knowledge of certain things, but I don't think I'm super special. I'm not a physical specimen, even though I do a lot of stuff that big dudes can't do. I'm not I'm not Superman, but I think that just the idea that if I can do it, someone else can do it. And I'm so happy doing it. And the one thing I know about you is that you're super happy right now. Mm-hmm. Like you're doing your thing. And I'm gonna tell you this, I 100% appreciate the fact that that you blessed me with coming on a podcast today. That B, that you're an honest and sincere person. You're one of my good friends, even though I tease you like one of the things. I'm like, Aaron, am I your friend?
He said that shit the other day.
Yeah, just to fuck with him, right? But like you're one of my good friends. You're a sincere person, and your mission is actually to help people. Because the biggest thing about being at ease with yourself is you're giving back to other people.
And that's your number one mantra. I mean, to give back.
Yeah, I mean, God, you're gonna love this.
Hold on one second, guys. We have another intermission.
Oh shit.
Oh, you gotta save this one.
Okay.
1 second. So the mantra. So once again, this is a great podcast. We do the magic of video.
We gotta do one more plug.
We're here at Nueve. Hold on. Let's get Nueve, our sponsor. Give a shout out to the owner, Jimmy, who lets me stay here at night after closing to film this podcast. I think it's awesome. I just want to pick up where we left off. I hope you remember, because I don't.
The mantra.
The mantra.
The mantra.
Mantra.
Oh no.
He does not remember.
No shit. Wow. I don't remember.
You said I would like it.
Yeah, because it's all metaphysical and shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's keep talking and I'll think of it.
Well, what you need to do is never move that shit again, because it made hella noise.
I know it did, didn't it?
That shit. All right, so look.
It was thunder.
You know what sucked? Right when he was about to say that,
Yeah, the shit went out.
that's when we lost recording.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll think of it. Don't worry, guys.
The show right
I
here.
got
Yeah.
this.
So all right. So there's a couple of things about the Happiness Podcast. I'm gonna
Yeah.
talk a little, let you think about it.
Do it.
This is our fifth podcast?
Technically fifth. Yeah.
Technically fifth, but fourth official podcast.
Fourth official. Yeah.
What we did was we took a break to really work out some of the stuff, like doing a sound check, understanding where the microphones need to be so it's less work, understanding the having headphones, understanding the frequency of the podcast that we want to get out, because this is all new for us.
Very new, yeah.
This is all new for us. So it's okay that we have problems. I mean, we're uploading this to YouTube. We had a lot of success with a couple of our, and some people giving us feedback with our podcast. So I'm really thrilled about it. But when things fuck up, it's okay.
Show must go on.
It's
Yes.
almost better.
Yeah. So you remember yet?
No.
Well, fuck it. We're going to updates then.
Let's do it.
All I wanted to know.
God, it was so good. It's like,
it
it's
was
my
on like
mantra.
a cliffhanger from hell
wanna,
right now.
So right now, what you guys are going to be watching this, you're going to be like, I wish I knew.
It was gonna change
I
my
bet
life.
after a week later, you're like, I remember now.
I remember.
We're going to have to come back and film like 5 seconds. And
Hey,
this is what
I'll
I
come
was
back.
gonna say. All right.
All right. See, we got
All right.
on
So
for it.
this is something that I was watching. There's a podcast with Adrian Foster. called the Now What podcast. And
Adrian or Arian?
I'm sorry, Arian Foster.
Okay.
I've drank way
Arian.
too much. Arian Foster is the Now What podcast. It's a very great.
Sounds pretty racist.
First of all, if you've if you've never watched the podcast, he's black. If you've never watched the podcast, it's a great podcast. He's the host is super intelligent. He's an ex-NFL player, and he just talks to different people, a really diverse squad of people. And you know, something that they touched on with Terry Crews, who's an actor, ex-NFL player, who's being interviewed. He's a guy in the Old Spice commercial who pops his pecs, and he was on The Longest Yard. And I was always, you know, so interested in something that they were talking about because I believed this 100%. And that what he was saying is that competition is the opposite of creativity.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
Yeah, we
earlier
were talking
today.
about it earlier, and I was like, this is so amazing because, and I have to co-sign it, but I just wanted to go deeper into it and get both of your
Let's do it.
both of your feedback on it. So here's my thing. Like, I understand that if I'm in competition with you, I'm only looking at a small field, and I'm just trying to dominate the small field. And that's what has the crabs in the bucket mentality. That's what has people pulling each other down. That's what has people hating each other. Because when I look at it and I'm like, okay, there's only a small amount of the pie, and I have to succeed here. You see this all the time. Like, you see, like, especially in comedy, comedians go after each other. Rappers go after each other. You know, and even though rap is rap like for sport, you battle each other. But when it gets to the point where it's personal, it's bad. And the reason that is because if you created a different lane and you did something totally different, then when people went after you, they would be competing on your plane. For example, Drake, who's a very popular rapper, who's actually, if you look at Drake, Drake's been around for a long time. Drake's been around since, like, I think 2006, you know. He does singing. He does more songs with emotion in it. But he's not really in anyone's lane. There's only a couple people who's in that lane. So when people go after Drake, they have to come onto his platform, onto his thing that he created, and go after him there. And he's been Teflon in a lot of ways. Sometimes he took an L, but most of the times he's not. And so I would just say that, like, the reason why you get locked into a mind state, and I know this is going on a little long, but I'll wrap it up pretty shortly, is that you keep thinking that you only have a certain way to do things. So if you're in the inner city, you think that you can rap, you can do athletics, or you can sell drugs. That's always been, like, the only ways to get out of the inner city. If you're in a rural, or if you're in the rural parts, you think military or college is the only way to get out. And I think that once you start creating your own lane, once you start creating things, once you get creative, you stop competing on that. Okay, because look, there's only a certain amount of people that are going to get into college. You're competing against people to get into college. I'm not saying that going to college is bad, but I'm saying that you don't exactly have to go to college to be a successful person. You don't have to go to trade school to be a successful person. You know, like, for instance, what Aaron did. Aaron said, okay, I'm going to create an environment, a gym, and I'm going to train people there. He created his own place. He's not competing at a commercial gym for people now. He has his own people.
I'm not even competing with other gyms.
Exactly, because his gym is unlike any other gym. You know, his gym is like any other gym. Like, he doesn't do huge group classes.
This is kind of, it goes back to we're gonna go deep metaphysical shit in
All
a
right,
second.
let's do it.
That'll remind me of that cliffhanger ass thing that we were talking about.
Scott-
earlier.
wanna
Scott
hear it.
right
He
now
wants
is like
to
a
hear
pit
it.
bull with that pink with the lipstick on. Did you forget it?
It's
Dude,
gone.
what, you had to bring out the pink lipstick? I mean,
Jesus
what-
Christ.
I
This is
know.
what happens.
Oh my God.
Shut
You're
up, you know it.
killing me right now.
This motherfucker drank too much.
God, I know I did, right? No, it's cross my legs under this table. It's terrible. You know, it goes back to belief in what you can do, and somebody once said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right.
Mm.
And, you know, I used to not subscribe to that kind of stuff. I used to think that was really super woo-woo secret crap,
Mhm.
Right.
you know, frankly. And I didn't really think, you you create your own reality with your thoughts and all that stuff. But I think it's true. It starts with your thoughts.
Yes.
It's not only your thoughts. You have to have some action that comes after it.
That's my only problem with it, is that people think.
I heard somebody say, it was probably, I think it was Jim Carrey, and he's like, you can't sit on your couch and wish for a Cadillac and have it come through your front door. That's true. But if you wish for a Cadillac, and you think about a Cadillac, and you go, how could I get one? And you create the steps in place with your thought, and then you act on the steps, then you get the Cadillac.
Exactly. What do you feel about that, Scott?
So,
I know you want to say something.
This is the core of my metaphysics, is I bring a psychological concept into it, which is the cognitive behavioral triangle. So it's thought, action, and emotion.
This motherfucker used hella big words.
It
Cognitive
rotates.
behavioral triangle that
Say
rotates.
that again for him, just in case they didn't pick
It's
it up.
thought, emotion, and action. So what is an emotion?
Right.
Emotion is energy emotion, which emotion, as defined in these textbooks, as a motivating force. It has you acting towards a specific goal. That's what emotion is.
Would you say the emotion is the fuel for your thought?
It changes. It depends. I mean, if you're in an environment where, let's say, you're in the savannah and you see a lion coming at you, well, the moment you observe that lion, you're triggering an automatic nervous system response. You're going to feel fear, and then that emotion now becomes into thought, oh, shit, I got to get out of here.
Right.
So it's interchangeable. It's very interchangeable at all times. And if you're able to control your emotions or even your thoughts in a specific situation, like let's say, like combat submission wrestling, right?
Right.
You need to stay calm. You need to think about the next move. It's a chess game at that point. But if you're going willy-nilly, letting your breathing go out of funk, well, I mean, you're allowing your emotions to dictate your next set of actions.
Excellent.
Which is very true, because if you're grappling with someone and they start breathing all crazy,
You're winning.
You're like, oh, okay, you're done.
Yeah. I even say this, like when I was talking to Coach Patrick Reagan at Westside Fitness and Boxing Club about just like his experience in the ring, and something he would say was like he wouldn't worry if somebody was stronger than him. He wouldn't worry about all of that because he believed in himself and he was calm in the fire. His emotions were calm, and being calm, it would allow him, because he would say, I'm not even worried about if you're going strong because I'm hella patient. Dude, the reason why I take boxing from this gentleman is because he treats boxing like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He treats boxing like submission wrestling.
Which is awesome.
He's going to take it, but he's like, I'm calm. I already know. I'm going to create an angle and take you. It's not a matter of when. I'm an elite athlete. I trained my whole life. I understand this game better than you. I'm going to take you.
Let's since we're talking about mindset,
Oh, we have to talk about mindset.
let's talk about something that was hugely profound for me that came from you. When we took that, like, what was it, like 2 hours when we did some work on throws?
Yeah.
You worked on 2 hours on throws.
Yeah.
I'm a savage.
And it was all him getting thrown too, which
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, because
for
let me
taking
tell you,
that shit.
Let me tell you something. It
It
costs a lot of
sucks.
money normally to throw
It's
me
not
around.
fun, yeah. But when we talk about just mindset and how that creates things, in that 2 hour session, had nothing to do with what we physically did. It was something you said that lasted a couple of seconds, and it's stuck in my mind, and that created the blueprint and a map for me to understand the throws that you were showing me better. Is that I don't remember what the fuck I was telling you, but you were like, you looked at me and you're like, dude, think of your throws like a boxing combination. You're like, dude, do you try to jab somebody, and then when it doesn't work, do you just try to jab them harder and then try to jab them a little harder and keep trying until it doesn't work? No, you do a jab and a cross and a hook, and maybe an uppercut and whatever, and you go through a pattern. And I don't know why that was so profound for me, but it was in the sequence that you were showing me, because I went, oh shit, I'm not just trying for this one thing.
Right.
I'm doing a sequence to try to fool somebody and get them to react and move so that I can then take advantage of that.
Full disclosure, somebody told me that before. When they were
It doesn't even
teaching
matter.
me how to learn
Everybody
throws.
told somebody else something.
So I think Glenn Hunt, Sensei Glenn Hunt at Yachigusa Ryu told me something like that.
Nice.
But the understanding is that when you go to one thing, you got to go to the next thing and go to the next thing. Because when you throw a jab cross hook, the understanding is that your cross might land, they might block your jab, your cross might land, or they might roll into your hook. And so my job is when you're doing combinations, I already know when I told you this that we were working off of Spartacore. And so I would go for a major leg reap, and then my idea was always that I do it so sloppily that they step back and they think they have me. Then I tap the inside ankle and snap them down, or tap the inside ankle and throw them, or whatever, right? But they don't understand that sometimes your first move is a real setup, and you go to the second move too quick, and then the third move is a kill, or the second move is a kill, and the third move is insurance to cover your escape. And so, but the ideal is that 100%, you can't just go jab and just try to do the thing and just try to do, I'm on the Spartacore, okay, I'm going to do it in the Spartacore again, okay, I'm going to do it in the Spartacore again, okay, oh, he can't fall for the Spartacore. But if I do it 50 times, he'll fall for it. No. If they have your number on something, you change the game and you go totally a different way. Because eventually someone's going to give you what you need.
Right.
So what I always say is it's not up to me when I throw you, it's up to you when I throw you. But your ass is getting thrown. And that's just the idea of that. And that's just the same with, like, it's not up to me when I succeed. It's up to what happens when I succeed in the world, but I'm going to succeed. There is no quit. I'm going to try until I crack the ice.
And so how do we tie that into an idea for succeeding in life in general?
Well, in life in general is, first of all, if I just quit at the first Spartacore, besides being a bitch, 100% bitch, and I don't care if people, oh my God, he said bitch. Yeah, I said bitch twice.
Bitch.
Bitch, 4 times.
Biatch.
5 times. You're too short, bitch. But if I tried and I just quit after that, right? I haven't did anything except expend energy. If I change the game and I tap the inside ankle or I go for another trip or something like that, I've tried something different. If you keep coming at the game from different angles, but you keep honestly trying, yes, it's hard. It's hard work. Doing that is very hard work. My method is not easy. My method, like, you'll be sweating bullets, right? In a few minutes, you'll be sweating your butt off because you're doing 3 or 4 movements. But if you chain your life together and your events together, you will be successful. Nobody is successful by happenstance. You're successful because you worked your ass off. It's not easy to do what you like. It's easier to do what you don't like for the rest of your life and complain to people who don't want to be around your complaining ass anyway.
Except your own complaining friends.
Yeah.
And anyone else.
And you know what you have? A circle of miserable complaining
Right.
motherfuckers.
Then we
that
need to
nobody
talk
wants
about
to-
how you need to switch up your friends.
Yeah, and so this is one thing I said, and I said this before. If you are a person who has bad luck, I don't want to be around you. If you're a person who don't catch a break, I don't want to be around you because you're not working hard enough. I had never seen somebody who worked really hard said they had bad luck, who was successful. I've never seen it.
Let's talk about there is no catching a break.
No.
You don't get breaks.
Only break you gonna catch is a bad break.
And guess what? The world doesn't owe you shit.
And don't give a fuck. I mean, like, I've had personal setbacks. Man, I've had people mad at me for being successful. I've had people mad at me for being a successful at martial arts, and they're like, "What? How the fuck are you? How the fuck are you here?" Like, I just did a great event with Roderick Bulos called Legacy 6, where the best Filipino martial arts in the Bay Area were there. And some weren't there. I was surprised, but I'll talk about the best and the brightest. And I know everybody looked at me like, "Who is this motherfucker?" And I'm here because I earned it, because I work harder than everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I work really hard. I mean, like, I know people don't see it, but, like, you see what time I get to the gym and I do my own workout by myself. That's what I do.
Yeah, it's hilarious when I get to the gym and I'm walking in by myself and I peek out around the corner and there's Grover's car and I peek out at Grover comes peeking out of PSD.
Yeah, see if he,
We're the lone fucking people
always,
there.
always, dude. On New Year's Day,
Yeah, who was there on New Year's Day?
Me and Aaron.
2 people.
New Year's Day, and I was like, all of you guys was drinking last night, and I go over here and this fool is doing front squats.
You got some shit for that too.
Oh,
That
dude,
was
people
hilarious.
hated me. People were like, "Oh, well, you need to leave people alone. It's New Year's Day." And I'm like, "Motherfucker, the world don't care about New Year's. That shit gonna come
Games
next
don't
year too."
stop.
Yeah,
Games don't stop.
yeah. When I wanted to,
Fitness never rests.
but no, my thing was not even. I got to start the gear off right with the right mind state. My mind state on New Year's Eve when I went to sleep after my last beer was like, you know what? I'm gonna wake up in the morning. I'm gonna go get it. And I don't care if I'm hungover. I don't care if I'm pissing blood. I'm gonna go get it. And that's just how I am every day. Like tomorrow, I'm gonna wake up in the morning. I'm gonna go get it.
Yeah, I think you know my mindset that I try to have. I hear a lot of people saying, you know, when is it going to be my break, or you know, the world's
Never.
Yeah, you know, the world's never given me shit. But it's like, okay,
You're gonna have to edit that.
Here-
That shit don't distort.
here's a second question:
Yeah.
what have you ever given the world?
Exactly.
Word.
It's
like-
a law of exchange. I
You
mean,
So-
ain't gonna get shit unless you give shit.
So, like, I'm gonna tell you something. I had a student who I know, they don't have a lot of money, and they wanted to work on something. I was like, all right, come in. I'm gonna give you 45 minutes. 45 minutes of my time usually costs a certain amount of money. You know, just like you, 45 minutes of your time costs a certain amount of money. 45 minutes of Scott's time costs a certain amount of money. But I was like, I'm gonna give this to you just because, you know what? You want it. I'll give it to you if you want it. I'm the easiest person in the world. If you really want it and you come to me and I know you and like we have a good conversation, you will mess around and get some free training from me. Because in the future, when you have it, you gonna come to me. You ain't go to nowhere else. Or I'm gonna have a relationship with somebody that is gonna be awesome and I'm gonna be able to go and do stuff with. You know? That's why I have friends all over the world, because I'll give something. So now when I go to Thailand next month, I got a place to stay. You know, which cuts down on the expense of my trip. You know, plus beer is really cheap in Thailand. So what do you want to say about that, Scott? I think that you've given me a lot before.
I don't know.
We're
Put me on
trying
the
to go
spot right
metaphysical,
here.
man. Come on.
Come on, Scott. I'm talking about.
No.
I'm up your alley. I'm talking about giving to the world, the karma wheel coming back,
Well, I mean,
then the crystals opening up.
It's definitely true. I mean, if you go, now I'm going to bring something like law of thermodynamics or something. I mean, as much energy as you put out into something, it has to return.
Hold on, what do you call that? Law of thermodynamics?
Thermodynamics.
Oh, you want to hear a super nerdy little tidbit about thermodynamics? And,
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
These motherfuckers gonna be hanging out.
Totally unrelated. So, you guys know Michael Phelps, right?
Yes, he smokes weed.
Okay.
I like him.
Yeah, good guy.
Smoking
So,
weed tonight after this.
everybody knows that he famously ate like 10,000 calories a day or something while he was
Yeah.
training, right?
Right.
And so people went and they tried to track down, okay, how is this guy able to stay lean eating 10,000 calories? And they accounted for all of his workouts and they did all this stuff and it didn't add up. It didn't fit. And they were like, what in the hell's going on here? And somebody finally realized, wait a minute, what's the temperature of the water that this guy is training in? The rest of the amount of calories that were absent were made up for in the heat loss from the temperature of the water that he's training in for several hours a day was being consumed by the heat loss in the water.
Holy crap! So that's why he had to eat so many.
That was part of the caloric burn, was because of the heat exchange between him and the water.
Wow, that's dope. All right, so I think we have to call it a night.
Oh, shit.
You know, this is one of my. You know what? I'm good at picking guests. I'm gonna just throw some roses at
We're
myself.
going to have to go again.
Yeah, we do.
Definitely. I think that the biggest thing about this is that we get to have a good conversation with someone who really is of the same mind state.
You know what we're really going to have to do with this, though?
What?
We got to go back and figure out what the fucking cliffhanger was.
Oh, this shit will be like
Part 2 this bitch.
Part 2 coming. All right, so let's set it up right now. November. Part 2 November, before we go to Atlanta.
Wait, you guys are going to Atlanta?
We're going to Atlanta for a Combat Submission Wrestling Conference.
Gumbo.
Yeah.
I want to go to Atlanta.
Well, you got to. So we're going to do part 2 of this. I want to thank Aaron Molinsky of Spartacore Performance Center
You are welcome.
of Redwood City on Bay Road. What's that address?
2766 Unit D.
2766 Unit D. And apparently it's a haunted unit because there's no Unit A, B, or C. I want to
None of
thank
them exist.
my co-host, my friend, my little brother, Scotty Paxton.
of Org Unity.
Org Unity. I'm Grover Reese of Guerrilla Combatives. And we are at Nueve, and we are signing out. Next guest will be Matthew Abaya, Bay Area Asian American filmmaker. Film on Amazon Prime called Vampira. And we will talk about his new film, Die After Now. It's going to be a good one. So we'll see you guys then.
Must have a cliffhanger in it, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And we're out.
All right.
Boom.
Peace. Oh, wait.
Oh,
We still didn't get our catchphrase in.
What?
Shit.
You know what to say.
I don't know what to say. Huh? Oh, shit. Yeah.
They're whispering
Hold
to
on a second.
each other right
Hold on a second. Have you tried happiness?
Grab yourself a slice.
Hold on. That's creepy. Let's try it again. Let's try it again. That shit was hella creepy.
No
Let's see.
idea what's going
I'm going to be happy. Have you tried happiness?
Grab yourself a slice.
Ah, that's corny. Hold on. Let's just do it normal.
Yeah, you sounded
Let's-
like you did like one of those racist cartoons.
Man, shut the fuck up.
Coming from the
Jesus
black
Christ.
white guy.
Jesus Christ. Thirst trap. No, for real. Guys, I want you to ask yourself something. Have you tried happiness?
Grab your slice today.
There you go. Boom. We're out. Peace.